You're watching AnewZ. I'm Tuna. These are the top stories for the hour. Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff met with Russia's President Vladimir Putin for the third time in St. Petersburg. Ukraine's allies are set to provide an additional 21 billion euros in military aid. Iranian and United States delegations are set to hold talks in Oman today to discuss Tehran's nuclear program. As the trade war continues, US President Donald Trump on Friday said that 10% is a tariff floor or pretty close, and that there could be a couple of exceptions. He also told reporters that he thought something positive would come out with China.
Hello, everybody. Just got back from Walter Reed.
10% floor, Mr. President.
Any close? Yeah, I would say.
Pretty close.
There could be a couple of exceptions for, obvious reasons, but I would say 10% is a floor.
Yeah.
The Director General of the World Trade Organization warned the US-China trade tensions could cut the trade of goods between the two economies by as much as 80%. She said that dividing the global economy into two blocks could result in a long-term drop of around 7% in global real GDP. China's WTO delegation said today it had filed an additional complaint over the new US tariffs.
The escalating trade tensions between the United States and China pose a significant risk of a sharp contraction in their bilateral trade. Our preliminary projections suggest that merchandise trade between these two economies could decrease by as much as 80%. Further escalation becomes tantamount to a shutting off of bilateral trade between the two countries, a decoupling. The negative macroeconomic effects will not be confined to US and China alone, but will extend to other countries, especially the least developed nations. Of particular concern is the potential fragmentation of global trade along geopolitical lines. A division of the global economy into two blocks could lead to a long-term reduction in global real GDP by nearly 7%.
American consumer confidence has taken a significant hit this April, plunging to levels not seen in decades. According to new data from the University of Michigan, inflation fears and intensifying trade tensions are fueling a sharp rise in pessimism, raising concerns about the broader health of the US economy.
Consumer sentiment in the United States fell sharply in April, with the University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index dropping to 50.8, down from 57 in March. That's far below economists' expectations, who had forecast a more modest decline to 54.5. The survey found that the downturn in confidence was widespread, cutting across all demographics including age, income, education levels, regions, and political affiliations. The latest data was gathered through interviews conducted between March 25th and April 8th. Meanwhile, inflation expectations among consumers have surged. The 12-month inflation outlook rose to 6.7% in April, the highest level since 1981. That's a sharp jump from 5% the previous month. Over a 5-year horizon, inflation is now expected to average 4.4% from 4.1% in March. This economic anxiety is unfolding against the backdrop of escalating trade tensions. On Wednesday, President Donald Trump intensified the trade war with China, raising tariffs on Chinese goods to 125%. In a swift response, Beijing implemented an identical 125% tariff on American exports. Although the administration has suspended some targeted tariffs for a 90-day window, a broad 10% duty on most imports remains in effect. Additionally, a 25% tariff still applies to motor vehicles, steel, and aluminum. These aggressive trade measures have sparked widespread concern that the U.S. economy may be heading into a period of high inflation and sluggish growth, or potentially a recession.
Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff met with Russia's President Vladimir Putin for the third time in St. Petersburg as Washington pushes for a ceasefire in Ukraine. The Kremlin said the meeting lasted for more than 4 hours and focused on aspects of Ukrainian settlement. Trump has previously expressed frustration with Putin over the state of talks. In social media, he wrote that Russia has to get moving. NATO allies have pledged an additional 21 billion euros in military aid to Kyiv following a meeting of the Ukraine Defence Contact Group in the NATO headquarters in Brussels. British Defence Secretary John Healey said that 2025 is the critical year for the war in Ukraine and that right now is the critical moment. Today's meeting was the 27th gathering of the UDCG and the second to be chaired by Britain along with Germany, who took over since Donald Trump returned to the White House.
And the new pledges of military aid announced today through the UDCG total over 21 billion euros. A record boost in military funding for Ukraine, and we're also surging that support to the frontline fight.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged allies to prioritise air defence and provide 10 new Patriot systems to Kyiv. One of its key European allies, Germany, denied the request, citing its own need for the systems.
Urging allies to support the country in strengthening its air defence, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky asked for 10 new Patriot systems, a versatile air defence system designed to counter advanced aircraft.
I ask you to focus first of all on air defence for Ukraine. We truly need it. 10 Patriot systems, the free world has them. What is needed now are political decisions to make them work for peace. We need that result.
However, Germany responded negatively to President Zelensky's request, stating that it is not possible at the moment to provide the systems, as the country is still awaiting its own deliveries.
As you know, Germany provided already 4 full systems of Patriot. We are not able to provide any more for the moment because we are waiting for being provided by Raytheon in the years to come, which will start only in 27, when I remember correctly. So we are not able to provide more, but what we do is to try to collect all over the world any system in that range for air defense which we can find, and we try at the same time to find money.
Pistorius also emphasised that peace in Ukraine seems unlikely in the near future. He reassured that Germany will continue to provide military support to Ukraine, stressing that Russia must realise Ukraine is capable of continuing the fight with ongoing international assistance.
Iranian and United States delegations are set to hold talks in Oman's capital, Muscat, today to discuss the Iranian nuclear program. The Iranian delegation has already departed for Oman. Our correspondent Turaj Shiraliliu from Tehran has more on that.
Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi departed for Oman early today to take part in negotiations with U.S. officials about Iran's nuclear program. Iran says that the talks in Muscat, Oman, will be held indirectly, but U.S. President Donald Trump insists that the talks will be held directly. Tehran insists that as long as the U.S. is following a policy of intimidation and maximum pressure policy, it will not hold face-to-face directions, and that such meetings, which are going to be start after a pause of about 2 years, are a test just to examine intentions of the U.S. side. Turaj Shiraliliu reporting for AnewZ TV, Tehran.
At the diplomatic forum in Antalya, a high-level panel brought together top diplomats from the South Caucasus to explore the path forward for regional cooperation. The foreign ministers of Azerbaijan, Georgia and Armenia sat down to address both the challenges and opportunities facing their shared neighbourhood. In a significant moment for regional diplomacy, the Antalya Diplomatic Forum hosted a panel discussion on challenges and opportunities for regional cooperation in the South Caucasus. Taking centre stage were the foreign ministers of Azerbaijan, Georgia and Armenia. Ceyhun Bayramov, Maka Bokurishvili and Ararat Mirzoyan. Particular emphasis was placed on the need for sustainable and inclusive development. Against the backdrop of global instability, the ministers discussed the importance of resilience, cross-border cooperation and confidence-building measures. Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev met with the leaders of Syria, Turkey and the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus on the sidelines of the Antalya Forum to discuss regional cooperation and stability.
President Aliyev met with Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Kobakidze. Discussion focused on the importance of the friendship and strategic partnership between Azerbaijan and Georgia. Kobakidze recalled his visit to Azerbaijan in January and the meetings he had with President Aliyev, discussing the efforts made to expand bilateral cooperation. He also noted that the remarks made by President Aliyev at the ADA University Forum regarding bilateral relations were met with great interest in Georgia. President Ilham Aliyev highlighted the importance of resolving regional issues by the local countries themselves and stressed the significance of strong unity between the two countries. President Ilham Aliyev also met with the interim president of Syria, Ahmad al-Shara. The president congratulated al-Shara on the changes in Syria and stated that Azerbaijan is ready to contribute to Syria's reconstruction. He highlighted that a diplomatic delegation had been sent to Syria and the embassy's activities had been restored. Al-Shara thanked Azerbaijan for its support and emphasized the importance of cooperation in energy, infrastructure, and security sectors. Ilham Aliyev also met with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and expressed satisfaction with the development of Azerbaijan-Turkey relations, noting the importance of the Antalya Diplomatic Forum as a platform for discussing global issues. President Aliyev highly appreciated the forum. A meeting between President Ilham Aliyev and Ersin Tatar, President of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, also took place in the framework of the forum. The leaders recalled the informal summit of the Turkic Council held in Shusha and discussed the observer status of Northern Cyprus in the organization, exchanging views on the development of cooperation.
The bonds of strategic partnership between Turkey and Azerbaijan continue to grow stronger. In the framework of the Antalya Diplomacy Forum, top defence officials from both nations came together to reaffirm their commitment to deepening military cooperation. A high-level meeting was held between the Minister of Defence of Azerbaijan, Zakir Hasanov, and the Minister of National Defence of Turkey, Yaşar Güler. The meeting focused on discussing the current state of military cooperation between the two brotherly countries, as well as the prospects for its development. Additionally, there was an exchange of views on regional security issues. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has pledged continued support for Syria's stabilization efforts. His remarks came during a meeting with Syrian counterpart Ahmed al-Shara at the Antalya Diplomacy Forum on Friday. The encounter marks a rare high-level engagement between the two countries, signalling a potential shift in regional dynamics. According to a statement from Turkey's Communications Directorate, President Erdogan assured al-Shara that Ankara will actively pursue diplomatic efforts to lift international sanctions imposed on Syria. Erdogan welcomed the fact that destabilizing forces have not been able to reignite chaos in Syria. He expressed confidence that the coming years would bring stability, prosperity and peace to the war-torn nation. He also emphasized the importance of boosting commercial and economic ties between Turkey and Syria. Erdogan indicated that steps to enhance cooperation in other areas could also be taken, suggesting a broader normalization of relations may be on the horizon. In its latest economic review, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has urged Turkey to stay the course on tight monetary and fiscal policies, while calling for comprehensive structural reforms. The OECD says these steps are vital for ensuring long-term economic stability, productivity and sustainable growth.
The OECD's newly published economic survey of Turkey highlights the country's impressive economic growth over the past decade, ranking among the fastest growing in the OECD with an average annual expansion of 4.9%. But looking ahead, the report emphasizes the need for Turkey to adopt credible and prudent macroeconomic policies. Tight monetary policy and strong fiscal discipline are seen as key tools for maintaining momentum and driving inflation down towards the official 5% target. Speaking at the report's presentation in Istanbul, OECD Secretary General Matthias Cormann stressed the importance of long-term reforms. He said that maintaining tight monetary policy and fiscal discipline will be key to ensure sustainable economic convergence with other OECD countries and a continued decline in inflation towards the 5% target. Cormann added that structural reforms aimed at improving public spending efficiency and optimizing tax revenues will be essential to reinforce fiscal discipline. The OECD also praised Turkey's recent shift towards economic policy normalization following the May 2023 elections. The government has taken a series of steps to stabilize the macroeconomic environment, moves that have boosted financial market stability, increased investor confidence, and reduced economic uncertainty. Looking ahead, the OECD forecast a GDP growth of 3.1% in 2025 and 3.9% in 2026. The message from the OECD is clear: stay the course, deepen reforms, and Turkey can secure a path toward more stable and sustainable economic growth.
Azerbaijani and Moldovan officials met in Baku for the 6th session of their Intergovernmental Commission on Economic Cooperation. 2 agreements were signed on enhancing veterinary cooperation and advancing research and collaboration in renewable energy.
$1 in trade turnover, dozens of bilateral agreements, nearly 200 flights and 50,000 passengers. These are just some of the figures that reflect the relationship between 2 post-Soviet countries, Moldova and Azerbaijan. To take this cooperation to the next level, the 6th session of the Azerbaijan-Moldova Intergovernmental Commission on Economic Cooperation is now underway in Baku.
Azerbaijan's Minister of Agriculture, Majnun Mammadov, opened the event by highlighting Azerbaijan's ongoing economic diversification reforms and encouraging greater investment from Moldova.
We have reviewed the progress made and assessed the results achieved. Diplomatic relations between Azerbaijan and Moldova have existed for many years, marked by close and friendly ties. Over this period, I can say that 68 agreements have been signed, including cooperation agreements. In just the past year alone, since the 5th session, 4 cooperation agreements have been signed, mainly in the areas of internal affairs, migration, and customs. Today, a further 2 agreements have been concluded, focusing on cooperation in the fields of veterinary services and renewable energy.
Moldova's Deputy Prime Minister Vladimir Bolea reaffirmed his country's interest in deepening ties, particularly in agriculture and technology. He noted the strong potential for expanding cooperation with a focus on agricultural modernization and knowledge sharing.
In my view, one of the key achievements is that throughout our work, we have consistently focused on broad and mutual interests, ensuring that both Azerbaijani interests and those of our side are respected during the negotiation process. This reflects a very commendable level of conducting such meetings, particularly given our joint decision to hold them together.
The meeting also resulted in the signing of 2 key agreements. The first, a memorandum of understanding between the food safety agencies of both countries, aims to strengthen cooperation in veterinary services. The second agreement, focused on renewable energy, was signed between Azerbaijan's State Agency for Renewable Energy and Moldova's National Sustainable Energy Centre. The memorandum seeks to foster research collaboration, encourage the exchange of clean energy technologies and support the development of sustainable energy solutions for both countries. The latest high-level meeting between Azerbaijan and Moldova, held during the Munich Security Conference in February, further reinforced both countries' commitment to strengthening bilateral and multilateral ties.
Kazakhstan is making major strides in artificial intelligence with a strong focus on attracting top talent. As part of this effort, the country aims to bring in up to 10,000 AI specialists each year through the launch of a new international AI centre, AnewZ. Our correspondent in Almaty, Fariza Karimurzina, has more.
Kazakhstan is in talks with tech heavyweights including Telegram, InDrive and Google to establish offices at AnewZ, one of the country's most ambitious AI projects. The facility will feature an educational hub for school children and a startup campus with the goal of boosting AI experts to $5 billion by 2029. To achieve this objective, Kazakhstan has launched a nationwide program to train 1 million people in AI skills. Additionally, the country plans to implement AI certification for government employees while expanding AI expertise in the corporate sector. Officials say AnewZ is set to open in the fall of this year, will serve as a catalyst for AI development in Central Asia, launching 100 AI startups and supporting 1 scientific research project. Through these efforts, Kazakhstan hopes to join the global partnership on artificial intelligence. AI is also making an impact beyond the tech sector, transforming industries such as agriculture, transportation, and healthcare. For example, the agri-tech hub startup is using AI and satellite data to monitor farmland and predict crop yields. In the mining sector, Kazakhstan is utilizing AI to analyze decades-old Soviet geological records. Vice Minister of Industry and Construction Janat Dubirova notes that AI is being used to process data from the 1950s to the 1980s, recognizing up to 90% of the information even from poor quality records. So far, over 56,000 geological records have been digitized. From Almaty, Kazakhstan, Fariza Karimurzina.
On the 12th of April, International Human Space Flight Day, humanity not only honours the pioneering flight of Yuri Gagarin, but also reflects on the remarkable progress made in space exploration. Recognised by the United Nations, this day highlights the importance of global cooperation in space. Azerbaijan has been an active participant in this journey, with Azarkosmos at the forefront, driving the nation's advancements in space technology.
International Human Spaceflight Day is celebrated every year on April 12th. It marks the day in 1961 when Yuri Gagarin became the first human to travel into space.
Апреля 1961 года в Советском Союзе выведен на орбиту вокруг Земли.
Orbiting the Earth for 1 hour and 48 minutes. His flight was a major step in space exploration and opened a new chapter in human history. The United Nations chose this date to honor the role of space science in making the world safer and more connected.
In 1973, it brought all of them to Baku for the International Astronautical Congress to discuss the modern, for that time, problems of the space. And from this time, Azerbaijan also started actively participating in the global space science and space initiatives. In 1987, first Azerbaijani-born astronaut flew into space, Musa Manarov. And the modern history of Azerbaijan in space starts in 2008.
3, 2, unité, top, allumage Vulcain. Allumage EAP.
Azerbaijan's space journey began with the launch of Azaspace 1, Azerbaijan's first telecommunications satellite, in 2013. This was followed by the launch of Azasky, an Earth observation satellite, in 2014, and Azaspace 2, the country's second telecommunications satellite, in 2018. Through these efforts, Azarkosmos has significantly enhanced Azerbaijan's technological independence and its ability to provide critical communication services to regions across Europe, the Middle East, Central Asia, and Africa.
is important to emphasize the role of talent and the role of R&D in the sector. We are moving from the, let's say, downstream market to the upstream market in the upcoming years. And in this regard, I would like to emphasize the role of spacecraft development and production center that is being under construction now in Azerbaijan.
The agency's success has played an important role in the nation's economic and social development, helping position Azerbaijan as a growing leader in space technology.
With two geostationary satellites, we have been providing teleport services. Also, we're providing satellite services for both TV, radio, and data communications. Also, with different partnerships, we are providing many satellite data services, both in Africa and also in our region.
State-of-the-art technologies are being employed in Azercosmos Main Ground Satellite Control Center, where coordination with other countries and satellites is carried out.
Ground control unit controls the antennas on the ground and makes sure that everything is fine with the antennas and the other technological parts that needs to work together with the antennas to ensure that there is no, let's say, break in the communication. So we will be able to communicate the satellite anytime we need. So that's what the ground team do. We also have controllers here, which after we plan the maneuvers, they send the maneuver data to the satellite and also monitor the satellite during the execution of the maneuvers and other operations to make sure that everything is fine with the satellite.
In 2023, Azerbaijan had the distinct honor of hosting the 74th International Astronautical Congress in Baku. The Congress brought together over 5,300 participants from 136 countries and served as an important platform for exchanging ideas and innovations in space exploration. The event focused on the theme Global Challenges and Opportunities. Give space a chance, reaffirming Azerbaijan's commitment to global collaboration in space. At the same time, Azercosmos hosted the Space Challenges in the Fight Against Climate Change Space Leaders Summit during the COP29 event. The summit led to the signing of the Pledge on Expanding Space-Based Climate Initiatives by 20 global space agencies. This pledge represents a significant step towards deepening international cooperation to tackle climate change, underscoring the role of space-based solutions in mitigating its negative effects. As part of its long-term commitment to the space sector, Azerbaijan has also established the Space Academy under Azercosmos. This academy is designed to be a hub for training and nurturing the next generation of space professionals. By offering both physical and digital learning opportunities, the academy aims to equip students with the knowledge and skills needed to contribute to the rapidly evolving space industry.
This year, Azerbaijani school children representing 41 schools will be deploying their first PocketSat, a micro satellite, to the near-Earth orbit with the rockets of the SpaceX company. Almost 750 school children are participating in this competition, as well as we are implementing International Space Olympics together with our Israeli partners from Israel Space Agency. Almost 700 school children representing 40 schools are actively participating in this Olympics.
In collaboration with leading universities and global space institutions, the Academy will provide students the chance to engage with cutting-edge technologies and participate in international projects, ensuring that Azerbaijan continues to strengthen its position as a global leader in space exploration.
Azercosmos established like internship programs and mentorship programs where they also invited me as a mentor here, where we together trying to help the new students that are going to focus and go to the International Astronautical Congress 2025, which will be held in Australia, Sydney. So right now my main goal is going and participating in Sydney Congress, where I will gain more experiences and will have a chance to come back to Azerbaijan and share my experiences with new students.
The official media partner of Space Conference of Organization of Turkic Stated and Space Technology Conference will be held in Baku from 23rd to 25th April.
That's the world news for the hour. Thanks for tuning in and keep watching AnewZ.